Hello, it's Mandy Baker, the Chief Happiness Officer, which I've often been told that's literally the best job title there is. And I can assure you that it is. It's not up everyone's street, but it's most definitely my street as a job. So today I want to talk to you about another pillar of well-being, communication. And this would also include conflict resolution as well within the workplace. Now, I don't have to tell you that communication is absolutely the bedrock of successful business and successful relationships and partnerships with collaborations, with your customers, with your suppliers, and with your team and your teammates, or if you are an employee, your boss. And how you speak to your boss is crucial to your career development. So firstly, you need to know, or again, with all of these things to do with well-being, it's the awareness of knowing and thinking about how you can improve communication. Now, obviously, we have been in times where teams are working extremely differently to how they were 2 years ago. And yes, it is almost 2 years ago that we made all these amazing changes. Now, also in the modern world, we have masses of different methods of communication, and we need to teach our teams and teach ourselves to communicate in the best possible way to get the result that you want, which is ultimately to be understood. And ultimately, the next step is to understand other people, because life is a lot simpler if you look to try and understand other people and understand where they're coming from. Obviously, day-to-day communication, if it literally is just a question of not hearing something correctly, that can lead to errors and loss of profit within a job because of that, and loss of reputation as far as customers are concerned. So this communication is huge, as we know. Now, one of the biggest parts of communicating is listening. It's one of the nicest things you can do to people. And even me, who is a massive talker, understands the power and the importance of listening. We very rarely listen to understand what another person is saying. We usually, it's just human instinct, we listen to reply. We're very busy in our heads thinking about what our reply to their conversation is, rather than actually listening to what the person is saying. And within listening also comes observation as well, because we have got the most amazing operating system within our heads, our brains, and you have no idea how many more things this brain is doing for you than you realise. And actually, they think, those scientists out there, think that up to 75% of what we understand and take away from a person is actually our understanding of visual and body language and all the other messages that we get sent, rather than what we actually hear, which that's an amazing fact. We think we're just listening to what people say, but actually you're picking up loads of other things. But if you bring into play that you actually consciously observe what that person is doing, how they look, if you are in the HR department or head of people or something like that, and you're a business owner running teams, or you're a manager, looking at a person, looking to see what's going on in their face, what's going on in their body, you do trust your instincts. They will be right. You will know what is going on with that person, because if you seek to understand that person, you'll have better relationships with your team, you'll have better relationships with your colleagues, and this will really upgrade your working experience. So listening and observing to somebody is very important. I also believe in facing conflict head on. So say, for instance, you know that awkwardness you get when somebody's either not doing what you ask them to do. There's an issue going on that you need to face. Now, face conflict head on, but best not to do it when you have a lot of emotion going on, but just think about the big picture. Think what you're trying to achieve, and ultimately you're trying to achieve resolution and understanding. Okay, so rather than going in and trying to put your point over, again, observe and listen to the other person. See where they're coming from, because the more you can do that, the more, and potentially you could use this to get your own way. But if you're observing and listening to that person's side of the story, one, they won't be getting more and more aggravated by the fact that you're not listening to them, but you are probably going to understand the situation a lot better and ultimately resolve the situation better and quicker. Now, we have lots of different methods of communicating, and you will know yourself. We all know about the keyboard warriors on social media, but it's a lot easier to say rude things in a typed form, in a text message, in an email than it is face to face. And I really don't want us to forget this, because this can really cause so many problems within communication. Pick the right method of communication. If you've had a couple of emails with somebody and it's getting a little bit tense and aggy, then get up and go and see them, or grab the phone and phone them, because ultimately that resolves things much quicker than continual back and forth messaging and emailing. So that's, I think, one of the key things we should do, especially in the circumstances that we have at the moment, that we're not seeing people, or the majority of us are not seeing people as much as we did. There may be new team members who you haven't even met, you don't know. And obviously I'm a big advocate of social events within the workplace, because that bonds people. You learn different things about people and become closer and more engaged with those people. If you haven't ever met a person before because of COVID and all working remotely, it's really hard to empathise with them or know where they're coming from or what that email meant. So be aware that we are all suffering from a slightly more difficult situation to communicate in, I feel, at the moment. So keeping that awareness, knowing what the modern difficulties we have at the moment with communication and possible conflict, having that awareness is a really super important thing. So have a little think about that, and I will be back shortly with more tips and advice about workplace wellbeing.